Go Juju episode 47 was kind of bland to me. It begins kind of strong, where they're battling Goju Yellow versus Goju Blue are battling for the Goju rings because we know these are the final episodes before the final battle. Well, they talk about how they have been battling for 10 hours straight. Jesus Christ, could you imagine a Power Ranger episode showing you battling for 10 hours straight, or Masked Rider, or Metal Heroes, or whatever you want to call it, you want to call them VR Troopers or whatever, for 10 hours straight? That would be insane to still watch a 10-hour straight battle between these people. Oh my god. Anyway, so neither one of them can win this battle after 10 hours. They both demorph. And they say, well, how are we going to do this? So Goju Yellow has decided to make Goju Blue a superstar again. Now I'm going to stop myself there because, as far as I know, in the whole show, Goju Blue, or Rikuo in this case, has been a superstar. I don't remember him ever falling out of being a superstar. He's been doing performances through most of the show. So when did he lose his superstar? You know what? Forget about it. So Goju Yellow decides to become his producer, his manager, to get him back on the top spotlight. And if he can do that, he'll get all the Gojuju rings, and Rikuo can live out his dream without having to defeat the main enemy of the show. Well, Gojuju Blue had decided, let's do this. And so during the episode is pretty much that. There is no real fighting until the very end of the episode, but it's kind of a not worth it fight, I guess, in a way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So during this little producer manager position, he makes a music video with, Rikuo and Tegasaur. And it's kind of funny, but Lady Bouquet steps in and goes, "You're making fun of Rikuo. You're going to hurt his career this way. It's not going to work." And Yellow Gojuju goes up to her, "Well, what would you do differently?" basically. And she puts on this, ninja headband and go, "I'll show you." And basically, she becomes the producer for a little bit, handing out flyers about the new concert that's coming up, his return to the stage, basically. And being a musician that hasn't been playing music live for the last 15 years because certain situations in their life kind of changed life situations. But like Rikuo in the show, I used to still play, for friends and family. And anyways, enough of me. Let's get back to Gojuju. But Gojuju in this, Gojuju Yellow writes a song for Rikuo, and you don't see the song very much besides like the music notes of it. And at one point, Gojuju Blue Rikuo decides to go take a run at night and think about, his last performance. And you see the crowd just kind of like dissipate. Now, I don't know if the translation was right or not, but it looked like more of a mental thought about what would happen if his performance goes bad. And, I guess everybody has that anxiety at one point or another in life. Doesn't matter if you're a musician or athlete or whatever you are. Anxiety is something that happens in life. I've had it. Everybody has it at one point, I think, depending on their careers or whatever, or just some life situations. But again, let's get back to Gojuju. And in this case, after all this has happened, Gojuju Yellow has made a music video for Rikuo with him and Tegasword and makes music for his new show. And Rikuo sits down and thinks about it and gets anxiety. And next thing you know, Rikuo texts Goju Yellow, and they end up in the venue that they're gonna go play, or Rikuo's gonna go play, and says, "I can't do this," to Goju Yellow and Lady Bouquet. I consider her Rikuo's girlfriend, and I'm sure it's gonna happen at the end of the show, even though they haven't said so. And Lady Bouquet has told everybody, "I'm not his girlfriend." I have a feeling at the end of the show it's gonna happen, but you know, Goju Yellow gets mad at Rikuo and says, "Listen, you need to tell us the truth of what's going on." And he literally tells Goju Yellow, "I have anxiety. I don't know if I can do this." And basically they try to talk him out. Everybody has anxiety, like I just said, before a performance or whatever. Because he doesn't want to fail. And I get that. I get it. You don't want to get on stage in front of a lot of people that are enjoying your music and wants to see you again to fall on your face. Well, Goju Yellow takes this as an opportunity to say, "Well, if you can't do this, I will just take your rings now." And he, transforms and starts basically again, all of a sudden you don't even see Rikuo transform, but he transforms, and all of a sudden you see this battle happen between yellow and blue's getting his butt kicked. Rikuo's just losing left and right, and it's horrible because he might as well have just given up his rings at that point. But Lady Bouquet steps in and starts, yelling and screaming at, Rikuo, I still believe in you. I'm still your number one fan. And, I get it. I understand the concept of this, the possibility, of him snapping out of it like he does. He snaps out of it. And they both get up, and Rikuo or Yellow Gojuju, and I don't know why I can't ever remember all these characters' names, even though I love the show, tells Rikuo that you might as well just give up. You're damaged too much. And I didn't know they had a damage meter. When did this happen? When did they have a damage meter in Super Sentai and Power Rangers? I don't know, but I guess they have a damage meter now. And of course, Rikuo's like, I'm not gonna give up. And at one point, Lady Bouquet says, "Number one battle," and I just thought that was funny because it just kind of brings it around in the episode. But they go for the final blow, and they both power up after that number one battle starts happening. I mean, they don't waste any time. And that's something else that's kind of interesting with this episode. They're not wasting any time with this situation. And they give each other the big, final blow like they did with, Gojo Unicorn and the Green Gojuger. But this time you don't see who falls. You don't. But all of a sudden you see Rikuo on the stage, coming back to perform his very last performance. And you have to really think real fast. Oh, well, if that's happening, Goju Yellow wins. So Goju Yellow did win. You find that out a little bit later after the song ends. But during that performance, you get to see Lady Bouquet on the side of the stage, kind of getting the concept in her head that she still loves Rikuo, but she's going to lose him to fame all over again. But I don't think so. I think, in my opinion, if I'm looking forward into the show, he's going to take Lady Bouquet everywhere he goes. Because I think Lady Bouquet is kind of his rock in this kind of situation. She believes in him, and he knows that's his rock. But something I want to bring up. So we know Goju Yellow wins, basically, because of what happens at the end. But I want to bring up a situation that I'm not liking about this. So during all this stuff, of course, there's a monster of the week. Of course there is. Gandalf is trying to, take over the world still. And it's, I don't know. I think the way they're doing the Gojujers is that, of course, when they lose the rings, they're also losing the Gojuju ring. I don't like that. I think the Gojuju ring should still be with the person. So Goju Green should have kept his ring. Goju, Blue Rikuo should have kept his ring, even though they lost. Because during the episode of the Monster of the Week, Gojuju Green was still there, but not in his costume. He was trying to get the people to safety. And that's fine. That's fine. But I think it would have been better just to have the main Gojuju still keep the rings, even though they lost the other ones, to help the other Gojujus until the final battle, and then they give the rings to, I'm gonna say it again, Gojira, because he's the main character. I don't know why we're doing these battles. We already know he's the main character. He's gonna win. But I think they should have just kept the ring. Now, the other thing that went on in this episode that we didn't talk about was the main white ranger, the ice ranger with his little floaty dog. I can't remember the name of him either. Anyways, he went off to go look for the monster that he's been visiting, seeing in visions. And basically, when he finds the monster, it's basically just the head of the monster that he fight the first time to become the number one Sentai, a Gojuger, that won the great battle and became what he became. And so, yeah, it's coming to an end. He's finding it. And the preview of this episode was fantastic. And I might put the preview on Facebook or Instagram because they don't block that one. Anything with previews, they don't really block. I could put it at the end of this one. But again, I'm trying to build my community and all that without losing my channel. So by saying that, I do have a membership that you guys can join. It's only $1, and you'll get first access to the videos I post. You'll get your names at the end of the videos. You'll have, private live streams. If we decide to do that, I'll put like stuff up, talking, asking questions, and you guys can decide, do we do a private live stream or not. But if you don't want to join, if you really want to help out the channel, like, subscribe, hit that hype button. And if you don't want to do any of that, you just want to support the channel, you can literally, put a thanks down, and any money that we get in this channel from thanks, super chats, or anything goes right back to the channel, where it's for cameras, better sound equipment, better lighting. It all goes back, or even, reviews, or, anything that can help the channel. So anyways, guys, I hope you like this type of content, and I'll catch you on my next video. Peace.